Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be discussing the art of character profiling and the art of creating a story. So let's create a story together, and then I want you to dissect based on the story to what detail can I create this character profile. And the story's going to start off something like this. How about a story of love, but a modern story of love? Let's imagine now it's 7 o'clock at night. One of the girls of your dreams, which you haven't spoken to about a year because she lost faith in you, she reaches out to you. And in reaching out to you, she basically asks you, hey, do you have any cocaine? Something that you yourself know is a quick fix, but it brings out a good little devil in you. So you start to think, hey, maybe she's into me. But as the story progresses, you go to pick up your drugs, you arrive to her place, and then you meet her boyfriend. The initial incident. And in meeting her boyfriend, you start perceiving something in that man's eyes that she is not aware of. Let's say, for the sake of things, whatever this character's name may be, let's name him Avery, for example. Let's name him Avery. Avery, which coincidentally enough will have a signifiance and the alter ego that this character has developed. And I'm going to basically keep going and going into the character profiling. But anyways, as the night starts, you get a few lines in you. You start to feel good. You start to feel vibrant. You start to feel the energy pulse through the room. And you start noticing that this Avery guy, every time he looks at this girl you love, every time he looks at her, she retracts in fear from herself. So you start picking up on that, but she keeps telling you she loves him and that he loves her. But then you start seeing that he has a lack of ability to communicate. And in this lack of ability to communicate, he enters a gaze, which you can tell he's on the brink of losing his mind. But you keep the night going, you keep rolling with the lines, you keep having drinks, and as the night progresses more and more and more and more, you start to see that this girl is actually completely into you. And it's obvious by the way she's presenting herself, even in front of him. He struggles to have boundaries because he doesn't know how to speak his mind or understand that the mind that he feels is real. And you start to see that as the night progresses, he is literally not in love with her. And she has a child. And this child is a very young age. And as the night continues, a story was shared where the child in the last year or so has become rather irrational, with certain tics, as he would describe, that he knows what makes her kind of go. And as the night continues, you start to see more and more and more just how much trauma this man is starting to cause. And as a good man, you take on yourself the idea that you have to make sure she's all right by the end of the night. But as the night winds down, the conversations to be had of how he didn't have a mother that loved him, and you see his obsession with your friend and her daughter, and how he's isolated completely from having anyone. And now this Avery guy, which, let's say they went to bed, but you wanted to keep the night going just because something's not sitting right with you. And the night is still young. It's now, say, 5:30 in the morning. And you specifically go into the bedroom saying, hey man, you want a line? Because deep inside you, this entered experience has made you become aware that this girl is actually in danger. And she might not consciously be aware of it, but subconsciously she's presenting all the signs that she is actually in danger. And as the white night winds down, all of a sudden you get a glimpse of a flashback memory, which as he was handing you a drink, something fell out of his hand. And you remember catching that little thing, just in that glimpse of a memory. And you don't think much of it at the time, but then as the night winds down, you start to see that you no longer remember a thing beyond the night, except for that last flash of seeing that thing hit the counter. Now, you stay up, you confront him, and as you confront him, you yourself know drugs, and you can tell that he is a man of drugs himself, which he boldly claims. And as a man now, you see this man's obsession with a single mother and a daughter. And this man's obsession is to the point that he is literally enraged by anyone that might cause a change in the way she can somehow get free of this psychopath. Because you yourself, as a former drug addict, you yourself know the road that a psychopath can go down. You see the profiling, and in perceiving the little details, all of a sudden comes a morning where you are high as shit. And as you wipe the counters, because the single mother's daughter is coming home today at some point later in the afternoon, and it is now 10 o'clock in the morning, you are high as shit, and you can tell that your friend that you love dearly is in problems. Because this man is so obsessed with her, and he has literally brainwashed her by whispering the sweet little things in his grooming voice. And now you recall back to the last flash you saw. And in the morning, as you wipe the counter, you find an acid tab on the counter, an LSD tab, which creates one of the most powerful consciousness experiences you can ever experience. To the point that now you start rewinding the clock of the entire night, and every little flash of every little indication that led you to this very moment, where you are now making a fucking video to discuss this monster. Because no matter how many times you tried to present to her, hey, you are in danger, she was blind to it. And no matter how many times you made it aware to the man, hey, leave her alone, he stayed blind to it. And it gets to the point where as the very last flashing moments go by, you realize this man is a serial killer. And he has done this to different women. And the reason he uses the name Avery is because that is the first woman he stalked. And as being the detective, of this entire story, you now see the lineage of women that which this particular individual has sought prey onto. And you start to see the one common theme. People or women that are alone. Women that are alone because they will find it easier to seek not necessarily affection, but also attention. And because this man is good at isolating his prey, to the point that even the mother cannot see that the reason her child has been acting erratical since the moment he met her daughter is as a result of the fact that he has been drugging her with LSD and she is only 7. And now you start to see all of the little pictures of all the insane things that your daughter has done in the last year since he's been present. And now you start to see all of the little patterns of the evidence presented before you when I tell you, you are dating a serial killer. And as this video progresses, I hope that you might see the beauty behind being able to create a character profile. In order to be an author, you also need to be able to understand the patterns of individuals, and you can tell when there's patterns that are not right. Because to a certain degree, an author is the creator. And you actively write the story of life by what you bring forth into the world. Now the question remains, as the man, what would you have done? Would you have acted irrationally based on suspicion or intuition? Or would you have been man enough to say, I see all of the patterns present themselves, and you make the move to be the knight in shining armor? Because to a certain degree, you know very well that either of the directions you could have chosen, you would have been left to be sacrificed for. Because it's not just your body, if you saved her, that would have been sacrificed, but if you sacrificed yourself and just let her come to the realization on her own, you would now see that you sacrificed your soul because you didn't act as a man. But because you didn't act as a man, you are now high as shit. Do you see the depth you can create a character profiling? Because in order to understand people, if you analyze the traits that you can recognize as normal and traits which you recognize as not normal or psychopathic, which you as a social worker should know. You should know that this individual, he might have good sides to him, but he is eventually going to kill you. And that's when you tell her, God, wake up. Do you see what's going on in this house? Do you see how you've literally been getting used and abused by this man? And it's your life, and I can't tell you what to do. But I love you. I love you a lot, and I care for your daughter a lot. But this man is literally going to destroy everything you care about in your life if you still do at this very point if he hasn't fucked you up enough. Because you still have a man that's willing to take care of you. And that is a character arc. A moment of growth. Do you see the beauty of storytelling? You can literally create reality by simply capturing the moment.